are hopping in today on confidence in conversations. Just talking about those like scripts and dialogues and having those conversations with our clients, because oftentimes what holds us back from knocking on a door or picking up a phone is not knowing what to say, or being afraid if they ask a question that we don't know how to answer or don't know how to overcome. So last time we covered this, we kind of talked a little bit about scripts. I gave you some tools for some different script books that you can utilize. Some scripts, there was door knocking scripts and even social media messaging scripts, introducing yourself as a real estate agent to your friends, family, acquaintances. So there's a whole bunch of scripts and dialogues in those pamphlets or books that you have access to. Remember too, that anytime we go to have a conversation, like yesterday, we had a good conversation during our Q&A about, making those phone calls to your sphere of influence, and how oftentimes it's the hardest thing to actually execute and get done because you're just, nervous about calling people. So just remember that we always want to focus in on FORD, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So we do what we call a FORD sandwich. Okay. So if you're calling people that you know, or people in your database that you've connected with before, maybe they went to an open house and you've had some conversations, but they haven't pulled the trigger on a purchase. One of the best ways to open that conversation, number one, I never am against stalking people on social media, right? Go on their social media. What have they been up to? What have they been posting about? Are they gardening? Are they vacationing? Are they just buried in work? Did their dog just die, right? What happened on their social media? Because that's usually a good indicator of way to break into conversation with somebody that you're not sure how to break into. And then number two, we want to go into family, occupation, recreation, dreams, right? So usually what we find on social media is an indicator of one of those four items. And we just want to kind of go into that. We don't have to touch on all four subjects. Like, you don't have to have a family question ready and an occupation question, right? So we can just let the conversation flow naturally around those four subjects, right? Oh, how's your summer been? How are the kids, right? Do you have children, right? Are your children out of school, right? So you can ask questions around that. You can ask them if they're doing any fun things for the summer. We've got the 4th of July coming up. Like, do they have plans for that, right? What's the next holiday? Like, so feel free to ask those questions to dig into who they are and what they're about. How's work going, right? So there's all sorts of questions you can ask around family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Oftentimes that conversation, right, we ask them about their job. They ask us about our job. If they remember that we're in real estate, they might be like, oh my gosh, how's the market? I heard it's horrible. Or, right. Or they may say, oh, well, what are you doing for work these days? Right. So there's lots of options depending on who they are and how we're connected with them and what they remember about us that leads naturally into a conversation about selling homes. But the reason we call it a FORD sandwich is we open the conversation with the family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Then we lead into the business portion of our phone call, whatever that might be. And then we close out again with that FORD family, occupation, recreation, dreams sandwich, right? So the FORD is the bread. The meat is the business portion of the phone call. And we're just going to close up and wrap out again. We're going to retouch on, well, I really hope your 4th of July plans go well. Enjoy your camping trip. Gosh, I really hope you don't have to work all summer without taking a break. Stay cool this weekend, whatever it is, like swing back around to that relational thing. So that's how we do our FORD sandwich. Now, if you're like, what goes in the middle, Amy, right? I'm calling people that I haven't touched base with in a while, or I'm not sure what to say. One of the easy ways to go into that is, open it up with that FORD sandwich, go into the meat, and you could even cheat just a little bit, right? So if you're really hesitant to call people and you're like, oh, they're going to judge me, I don't know what to say, you could go into, hey, I'm doing a contest. We have a contest going in our office, and the person with the most referrals wins. Do you know anybody, right? The reason for my call today is we're doing a contest in our office. The person with the most referrals wins. Do you know anybody looking to buy sell, or invest in real estate. Right? Super simple, super easy. People like to help others win. Most people have some sort of competitive spirit in them. So that's one really easy way to break into that conversation, to get to the meat of, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest? And then you close out with, oh my gosh, thank you so much for that referral. Or, well, if you think of anybody, please shoot me over a text. I'm really wanting to win this competition. And then you close out with that Ford sandwich, right? Circle back around to what you talked about at the beginning, like we said, right? I hope you survive the heat this weekend. Don't work too hard. Make sure you take a day off sometime this summer. I hope you enjoy your camping trip, whatever it is that they, enjoy your trip to Disneyland. Don't sweat to death in Tennessee, right? Whatever they've got going on, like circle back around to that at the end. Does that make sense to everybody as far as the Ford sandwich goes and those conversations that we might have inside of our database? Anybody?
Yes.
Brittany says yes. All right. Fabulous. Okay. So outside of that, we're going to dive into objection handling today, because oftentimes outside of not knowing what to say, we also have hesitations over, well, what if they say something and I don't know how to respond to it, right? Objections. What if they have an objection to having an appointment, to signing a listing agreement, to whatever that might be? And how do I handle that? So those are called objections. I'm going to put a link to the page that I'm sharing in the chat box. So if you guys want to save that link, this is a pretty good objection handling website where they've got lots of different things. In addition, I'm feeling a little under the weather. So instead of going over these all myself, and you guys get tired of hearing me, there's a few short videos, right? So this one here is the objection handling script for my friend or relative is an agent. Who has heard that before? My friend or relative is an agent. Anybody? Hands up. Unmute yourself. Yes, in the chat box. You. Yes. Yep. Right? Super discouraging. If I was like, if I needed heart surgery and my doctor was like, you should go see this one. And I'm like, well, that's okay. I have a friend that's a doctor. I'll go to them for the heart surgery, right? That's not what we do. We go to like the best heart surgeon that we can get referred to, right? And usually our doctor knows best. So, friend or relative, there's lots of different ways to handle that objection. So there's a little video we'll watch here, but then also, it's got some of the scripts here that you can actually print out and like practice on a regular basis. Because remember, as we go through these scripts and dialogues, committing them to memory by repeating them and going over them and focusing in on them, writing them, that's going to be the best way to internalize that, so that when we're talking with somebody in the grocery store and they're like, oh, yeah, we're thinking about selling our house, and be like, oh, perfect. Well, I'm a real estate agent. I'd love to assist you or sit down with you and walk you through what I can do to help get your house sold. And they go, oh, my friend or relative is an agent. Then automatically this response just pours off your tongue and you're like, where did that come from? But it's because you've been practicing it and internalizing it. So, right, I hope all my friends are as loyal as you are, but let me ask you a question. Are you serious about selling your home or just helping your friend get a listing? Right? Good response. This is the most expensive. If this is your most expensive asset, don't you want to choose the best agent and not the agent you're friends with? Right? It's important to be loyal to your friends, but because your home is probably your most valuable asset, you owe it to yourself to choose the professional who can best market the house and best represent you to get the highest and best price and terms for your house. Wouldn't you agree? Right? Plus, if you have a friend or a problem with your friend's performance or services, how will you be able to criticize or fire your friend? Would you rather yell at me or your friend? Right? Good point there. So there's lots of different things, but let's watch the little video.
It's a good response to a potential seller who tells you that we have a friend in the business and we're just going to list.
Can you hear the video when it was playing? I've got it paused now.
Yes.
Okay. Fabulous. Just making sure I have my share set up correctly.
You just accept it and move on. I think I can price their home higher and have a strong marketing strategy, but I feel like the friendship would be threatened if they didn't use the agent to sell their home. Thank you in advance, Rajiv. Now, what followed was tons of really good comments Well, some good, some helpful, some not so much. Dan says that's almost impossible objection to overcome. I very much disagree with Dan, and I'll show you how to do that. Angela is saying, I tell them that's great. I love it when I find friends I can trust to do a great job. For me, this is quite a big decision, like the biggest investment you own. How about you give him,
Where is it forward just a little bit?
or next part, any kind of prospecting, any type of prospect. And they say, oh, we have a friend in the business. Here at the beginning, it's most often a brush. Because the issue there is what? A stranger calls and they have no reason to trust you. So they figure one of the easiest, most effective ways, throw that friend in the business at them, most agents go away. Most agents give up. You, my smart rock star, know better. You don't give up that easily. You understand that at the beginning, they have this wall put up, they have these defenses up, and they're trying to protect themselves from all these pitches, scripts, pushy agents with all kinds of agendas. Because most agents don't demonstrate that they have the client's best interest at heart. Okay? So at the beginning, it is a brush. You handle that differently than you would handle it in the middle. So let's say you're following up and you're ready to set up the listing appointment and you get the friend in the business. There, it may be a different issue. All these, of course, there's a possibility that they have a friend in the business, but your general approach, and I want you to hear me on this, your general approach with these leads is until and unless they list with that friend, it's game on. Because I've burned myself so many times thinking, well, there's nothing I can do. They have a friend in the business. They have a good relationship. Somebody else got the listing, not the friend. Human psychology. People don't make rational, logical decisions. They only think they do. So if you get it in the middle, yes, there is a possibility they will list with that friend. But unless and until they do, you keep going. Here, there may be a different issue, not necessarily just a brush. There, the issue may be your credibility or your competence. In other words, the friend in the business may be real or not. If you have enough trust with them, they may be able to tell you. But if they're not, they're questioning your credibility, your competence, because this area is your follow-up, when you're following up with them. That's the time. And this could be a few days, this could be a few weeks, few months, it doesn't matter. But during this follow-up, you want to establish credibility, competence, and of course, trust. And if you haven't done so, you may be getting these brushes and these objections. Now, the third possibility is during your listing appointment. You're ready to get the paperwork signed. Say, oh, by the way, we have this friend in the business, and after thinking about it, we decided to go with them. There, the issue is you screwed up either somewhere all the way at the beginning. You didn't create a strong first impression to begin with. But since you went through the appointment and a listing presentation, my guess would be, because I wasn't there, but I can tell you with almost certainty that the problem was your listing presentation. You did not establish that you're their best choice. And whether, again, that friend is fictitious or real, what they're really telling you, you're not our best choice. So as you can see, it depends where in the timeline you get it, you handle it differently. And you have to approach it different. When you get it right at the beginning, you always acknowledge. You never ignore and you never answer with a question. Don't do those silly, stupid sales shticks. You simply acknowledge, well, good for you. It's great to have somebody you can trust. Where are you guys going to be moving to? Fantastic. How soon would you like to be there? And you just go right into the conversation. You acknowledge it, but there is no need to handle it because you already know it's most likely a brush because they don't trust you enough. So let's build more trust. The best way to build trust, you inquire more. You get to know the situation. You have to understand what is it that they're trying to do? What is the problem that they're trying to solve? Does that make sense so far? Okay, so that's the beginning. The middle is you can use some of those great solutions that they offer. Would you really trust your friend with such a personal information? And it's an important decision and a big situation. There can be a lot of tension. Would you fire your friend if they didn't do a good job for you? I don't like mixing friendship or family and business. Would you? And then you can explore. Now, yes, there may be occasion, but you can do nothing about it. There's nothing you can do, but give it your best first. Don't give up easily. Make sure you position yourself at least as a strong second. Or maybe you can offer, well, maybe we can work something out. I'll be more than happy to cooperate with your friends and together we can get this done. I live in the area. I care about the homes and the clients who live here. I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and chat. Let's bring your friend on board too. And you pay the friend the referral fee. Because here's the thing, even if you pay what, 20, 30%, 70% is better than 0%. You follow me? Few $1,000s is better than no $1,000. Okay? Now, what do you do when it happens all the way at the end? Then I would ask him, well, let me ask you a question. We spent quite a bit of time on the phone exchanging information. I've called you a few times, right? We had a few conversations. Now we spend half an hour, 45 minutes talking about your home. I still feel hesitation. And now that you mentioned your friend, and you can be perfectly honest with me, I want to be honest with you. And of course, our relationship has to be built on trust. Do you honestly believe that that other person, your friend, will do a better job than me? Do you believe you're in better hands? He's a better choice than me. Zip, let them answer. Because if they're convinced that the other person is better, and the only reason they brought you in is to confirm that the friend is quoting them the right price or has the right marketing strategy, just to affirm that they're the right one, you're done. You simply shake their hand, wish them good luck, and say, look, if it doesn't work out, fantastic, more times. I'll be more than happy to talk to you again. But what I would suggest, to avoid this, you establish it here. You do a good job there. One, establishing enough credibility, establishing enough expertise and trust. And knowing going in, there may be another agent that they like. There may be somebody else who's a family member who has a license, or a friend who may be in real estate. But the fact that they let you in and actually talk to you means they may be not 100% certain. So there is always a chance. There is always a possible. All the way to the end. And if at the end you don't get it and friend gets it, you did your best. But don't give up easily. Don't quit easily. It is not about clever lines. Yes, it's good to understand, but you have to come from an empathetic, authentic place where you have to be convinced that you're a better choice. Because if you deep inside think, well, the other agent is pretty good, and if he can get it sold for the same price, then they would be stupid to go with me because he's going to give them a break on a commission. Why try? You have to believe in you in the first place. You have to be convinced that, yes, going with a friend is really not that great deal. And I don't believe that. I don't believe doing business with friends is a good idea. Does it all make sense? Do you guys understand how this works? And then you can come up with an angle, and then you can explore. But the problem is, if you just go straight for the clever lie, their defenses go up because you're immediately switching a position to, I'm going to convince you now. I'm going to influence, I'm going to manipulate you because I want the...
What did everybody think about that? Was that good information as far as how to handle the approach?
Yes, I liked that. I liked how you talked about the different steps of when you can, how to work it. Middle, beginning,
Or end, yeah, how to approach it differently, right?
Well, when he said just to keep going, like if the other person hasn't signed the agreement, like I must have dozed off if he did keep saying like how to keep approaching it. But did he say that, like how to keep going?
Well, so at the beginning he said, so if you're in the first step, he said that you acknowledge that they have an agent that's a friend, like that's fabulous.
Yeah, it says not to ignore it.
Yeah. And then he said, and then just go into your regular questions, working to build that rapport. Were you guys planning on moving? How soon? Why are you looking to move? Like just asking those questions. So that's what he said as far as the first step. Second step is kind of the same thing, right? You're gonna dive into if you're trying to set that appointment. And as he said, like, there might be nothing around it, but until that agreement's signed, we're gonna continue to try. But that second step, that's where you're gonna dive more into the credibility and competence. And, would you be willing to fire your friend? That's kind of where these scripts come a little bit more into play. Right? I hope all my friends are as loyal as you are, but let me ask you a question. Are you serious about getting your home sold or just helping your friend get the listing? Right? If this was the most expensive asset, wouldn't you choose the best agent and not just the agent that you're friends with? Right? You're just trying to get that door open to be able to sit down with them.
And this is just all on the first time you're talking to them, not like revisiting this like on another day.
That would be the revisit. That would be the revisit. So the initial contact would be, oh, I've got a friend. Oh, that's really exciting that you've got a friend in the real estate industry. Where are you guys planning on moving? What's your time frame look like? Well, fabulous. Well, I look forward to connecting with you soon, right? We're going to end that conversation after we try to build that trust and that rapport with them. Then we're going to check in with them at maybe a couple of days later, it maybe a couple of weeks later, maybe a month later, if they were like, yeah, we're thinking about selling in 6 months or whatever, right? You're going to figure out that time frame, but you probably at least want to be checking in with them once a month. If the time frame was shorter, then it may be more frequent, like it may be 2 days from now, we give them a call back and touch base with them. And during that second call, when we're actually trying to set that listing appointment, then that's when we would dive more into the actual objection handlers, where we would talk about that credibility and competence, and would you be willing to fire your friend, or what if they're not doing a good job? Are you sure doing business with friends is a good idea, right? So that's where you kind of dive into that in the effort to book that listing appointment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
Sorry for the delay. Yes.
that's okay. And then once you're in the listing appointment, right, then your goal is to show them that you are the best option for them to get them to sign that agreement. Right. All right. The other thing, so then there's these objection handlers here. This again would be used mostly in the second or third stage, right? So either in getting that appointment set or in handling that objection when you're sitting down with them, going over their listing agreement or your listing presentation with them, right? Would be where we pull these into play that we've kind of talked about already. So there's my friend or relative is an agent. There is, I have an agent already, right? We all hear that one, especially at open houses. And it's kind of, I actually liked what this guy said at the beginning, where oftentimes when you start talking with somebody that's thinking about selling a home and they're like, oh, I've got a friend that's an agent. Like, it's generally a brush, right? Same thing with, I have an agent. Like, that's just, I don't want to be bombarded and spammed by you. So I'm just going to say I have an agent, or I've got a friend in the industry. So I have an agent already. Who's heard that one? Anybody?
I have.
Right. Usually we've all heard this one. Right. So there's some objection handlers down here as well, right? Great. So you've already signed a listing agreement? Well, no. Okay. So you're not committed, you're just promised, right? Yeah. I really don't care if you list your home with me. If you're thinking of interviewing more agents for the job of selling your home, it is vitally important that you understand the different marketing approaches so that you don't get burned the next time, right? You don't want to get burned again, do you? Right? So let me ask you this. Do you know the difference between passive marketing and active marketing? Right? And they're gonna be like, no, I don't know the difference. You don't? Well, passive marketing is basically sitting around doing nothing, like holding open houses, sending out flyers, and advertising in the newspaper. Did your last agent use any of these methods? Yeah, I was afraid of that. These methods have been ineffective yet, right? And this is where you could always say, open houses, they generally only sell about 1%, 1% of homes are sold because of the open house. Like, you need a more active approach to marketing, right? These methods have been ineffective, yet your last agent sold it to you as if this was the answer to all your problems, right? Do you understand what I mean by passive? Basically sitting around with your fingers crossed, waiting for a buyer. Active marketing, on the other hand, is literally getting on the phone every single day and personally contacting as many people as I can, 25, 50, even 100 a day. The key is asking them if they would like to buy your home, or if they know somebody who would like to buy your home, or if they would like to sell your house, right? Do you know why I ask if they would like to sell your home? Because the more signs I have, the more buyer calls I get to show your home. That makes sense, doesn't it? Or if they would like to sell their house. Right now, which way, passive or active, do you believe will get the most homes sold? And do you understand that if I'm doing active marketing, that I am doing active marketing on you as we speak, right? Right. So you see how that plays into that. We're trying to set aside, if they're like, I've already got an agent. Well, they haven't signed something, so they're still available technically, right? So we want to try to get in the door with something they may not have heard yet. So they're going into the active versus passive marketing to show that. And right, so if we're doing an open house, like the door knocking before the open house, if you're implementing that in your business, that would be that active marketing, or calling your database to let them know that you've got a home coming available soon, or talking with the other agents in our office to see if they've got any buyers that matches this home that you've got getting ready to come on the market, right? All of those are active marketing activities. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
All right, let's see what he has to say.
Hi, this is Kevin Ward with Yes Masters Real Estate Success Training, helping you get more yeses and more successes in your business and in your life. And I had a question from one of my coaching members about what do you do when you're talking to someone and they say, when we do sell, we already have an agent we know. Now, that's a pretty simple statement. When we do sell, we already have an agent we know. Now, it's interesting that the question that she asked is, or the objection, I guess you would call it, that they threw out was, we already have an agent we know, as opposed to saying, when we do sell, we already have an agent. So everybody has an agent they know. The question is, do they have a fabulous agent they want to work with? So here's the basic, simple response. If you're one of my coaching members, this is in the Book of Yes on page 9. And it is a real simple, if they say, we already have an agent that we know, or we already have an agent we're working with, good for you. So I would love to be your backup. Here's my information. If anything happens or you ever need any information, let me know. Now, that would be the initial conversation, the initial response that you're going to give to someone that says they already have an agent. Because here's the thing you don't want to do. I don't want to challenge them on their relationship with this other agent. And they say, we already have an agent we know. Really? Well, is he a top producer like me? When you come across anything you say that tries to make them, that comes across as I'm trying to steal you from that agent, or I'm trying to get you to ditch that agent and come with me. Anything you do like that is going to just put up a wall. It's going to put up resistance. They're going to resist you. It's just kind of like if you're a guy and saw a pretty girl and you wanted to ask her out, and you came up and introduced yourself, and she says, I'm already taken. Well, if you try to disrespect her boyfriend or act like she's lying, then she's going to resist you. So if you say, awesome, great. So if you just acknowledge it, great. Well, I can understand that because you're so beautiful. In other words, you don't try to take her away from him. You just acknowledge it. So they say, we've already got an agent that we know. Oh, you already know an agent. Good for you. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love to be your backup just in case anything ever happens, or you ever have any questions, can't reach out and can't get in touch with them. I would love for you to contact me, and I'll be happy to help you with anything as possible. So I'm just taking on the backup role. Now, if they just say, yeah, we already know agents and so forth, great. So already know some agents. Awesome. So I guess my question would be, do you have a fabulous go-to agent that you definitely know you want representing you, or are you going to still be in that picking process when that thing happens? So if they give any indication that we know agents, but it doesn't come across clearly as they are attached to that agent, then it's okay to say, so is this an agent you're definitely going to use, or is it just somebody that you know? In other words, you're 100% sure they're the best agent and so forth. It's okay to ask those questions when they communicate with some, less than a total loyalty response. So if I say, great, oh, good for you. So you already have an agent working with, good for you. I would love to be your backup. So is this an agent that you've worked with a lot in the past, or just somebody that you know? I might ask another question like that just to dig a little deeper. And they say, well, no, we've never used them before, but they go to church with us, or they live down the street, or, our kids are on the same soccer team. Awesome. So is this somebody you've committed to using, or just somebody that you kind of, obviously, since you already know them, you feel comfortable with them? I just want to get a feel. Well, we're not really sure how good they are. Now you've got an opening. Great. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love as I said, I'd love to be your backup, just to be somebody else that you can talk to for a second opinion. And obviously, just in case you decide, I want to make sure I'm getting the best agent for the job, I would love to have a conversation with you about that when the time is right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we exchange information and stay in touch? And if I can help with anything, let me know. And then you don't push them hard. I'm just being friendly. I'm just asking some questions to kind of get a feel for, is there an opportunity here or not? And if they're really like, no, you know what, we already have an agent we're going to use, awesome. Just celebrate with them and and just say, hey, I would love to be your backup. Here's my information. And I wouldn't even try necessarily to get their information unless they seem to really be connecting with you and say, great, well, I'd just love to be your backup. Why don't we exchange information? And then that way, if you need me, you can reach out to me. And you can take that approach without pushing, and you just create attraction that way. Here's the deal. If they're already attached to an agent and they don't want to talk to you, don't want to give you their information, it's okay. There are countless opportunities and plenty of people out there that are not attached to an agent that you can build a relationship with, establish that professional relationship with, and become their go-to agent. And when you do that, you're going to get a lot more yeses.
Any ahas from Mr. Kevin?
I like how he said, are you okay, you know somebody who's an agent, but are you already committed to using them?
Yes. Right. Any other ahas? How did you guys feel about responding with the, I'd like to earn the position as the backup?
I
I
love
like
that.
that too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Nice.
Because sometimes
Right?
we're just like, oh, okay, and we just leave it there. But you never know, something could happen. Or what if they have a falling out with that person, and now they're like, now you could be their backup.
Yeah, right. Earning that position as their backup. And then if they're blowing smoke, right, and they're not being honest and they don't actually have somebody, then you just move from second into first, right?
Right. It's like planting that seed in their head.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And I'll repost this website for those that join later. I put it in the chat box in case you wanted to get on here and kind of copy and paste out these objection handlers as well. We're going to skip that one. Oh, how about this one? I want to try selling for sale by owner first. Would you guys like to see what happens with that one?
Yep.
All right.
I'm going to sell as a for sale by owner or FSBO. When someone says that, I would say, that's great. What do you plan on selling it for? They come back with a number. Okay, awesome. When can I come by to take a look at the home? And then immediately just book the appointment. There's really nothing more to it. They might say, well, I'm not going to show you the home unless you have a buyer. And then you could go with the, well, I need to see the home, all that kind of stuff, that basic objection handling stuff. But they say I'm a FSBO or I'm going as a FSBO. Awesome. Let me come look at the home. And that's really all there is to it.
Oh, Tyler, you're going to go for sell by owner. Perfect. I think that's a reasonable way to do it. The nice thing is that our appointment is more of a free lesson than a sales pitch. If you like the things.
So what did you think about that? You run into somebody that says, oh, I'm going to sell it myself first. You're like, great. What are you selling it for? Right? What's that price? Which allows you then to go back and run comps on it and see how far off they are if you think you could sell it for more, or if they're trying to sell it way high. And then also booking the appointment, right? When can I come by and preview the property? Right? Good objection handler. And then, like he said, if they're like, well, we need you to, I'm not going to show it unless you have a qualified buyer. And you'd be like, I've got 30 qualified buyers. And without knowing the details and the stats and what the inside of your home looks like, it'd be hard for me to reach out to my buyers to see which one this might be a perfect fit for, right? So book the appointment. Thoughts on that one?
I was going to ask, when people do try to do FSBO, I'm sure some of them don't know like the paperwork that's needed to do for it. So is that something like that people can bring, like us as agents can bring up, or just kind of leave it as is to go take a look at the house and try the other thing first?
Yeah, so I would probably go ahead and book the appointment to get in the door first and make that kind of my first objective. And then when I'm there previewing the property for potential buyers, then that's when I would bring up the additional conversations, such as, it's for sale by owner. California has laws of disclosure requirements and stuff that you're required to do for the sale of a property. How are you getting those disclosures to a potential buyer? Like, how are you handling that? And oftentimes they'll be like, oh, well, the title company is going to help me with that. And you can be like, did you talk to the title company? Because they don't do that, right? So they have misconceptions, but that would be a good time when you go and are doing the walkthrough to, number one, kind of find out their motivation. Where are they planning to move? How quick do they need to move? How did they choose the list price? Right. So all of those questions to try to uncover their motivation and how quickly they need to move on it, as well as asking those questions of, oh, well, how are you handling the paperwork? And, all those different things as inside of there as well.
Thank you.
Yep. And most for sale by owners don't realize that, the average for sale by owner home sells for 8% less than a property listed with an agent. So if they were paying a 6% commission, number one, most for sale by owners are already planning to pay a commission to the buyer's agent anyways. Most are smart enough to understand they need to pay some sort of commission to a buyer's agent. So they usually offer that. And if you're charging them a 6% commission, knowing that the stats show you that for sale by owners sell for 8% less than the average property marketed by an agent, they still come out ahead marketed by an agent. So just little tidbits there. Okay. Any other thoughts on that one? You guys don't have too many for sale by owners down there in the Solano County area. Up here in North Idaho, it's a really common occurrence. There's lots of for sale by owners. People are cheap. How about you're too new an agent? Has anybody heard that one? Or they're afraid they're going to hear that one?
Ooh, that's a good one for me.
Okay.
Let's watch it.
Let's
Me too.
watch it. You're like, I want that one. I'm scared of that one.
Hey, winners, Kevin Ward here. Okay, a great question that was asked to me that I get asked fairly regularly, and that is, how do I handle it? Because I'm brand new in real estate, or I'm very, very young in real estate, and how do I overcome the objection that you're too young or you're not experienced enough and so forth? And I want to share with you today 6 strategies for handling that objection. Now, I've got to tell you first off that the C factor is the real answer here. It's the big C. And the big C is confidence. You see, here's what is more important to buyers and sellers than anything else in choosing an agent. And that is, they've got to feel confident that you're the best agent to help them get what they want, whether it's the best terms, the price, getting their home sold in the best amount of time with the least amount of hassle, the best price. All of that comes down to the C factor. And that is, are they confident that you're the agent that can help them do that? Well, the C factor for them comes from you. So the biggest key here to making all this happen is you have to be confident. If you're confident, if you're certain, if you have you're comfortable with who you are and what you can do to help them get the results they want, that confidence is going to just automatically be fed to them because, hey, it's just the way life is. Whenever you're around somebody and they feel confident, you naturally become more confident in them, because we get from them the idea that, hey, they know what they're doing. So when they feel that from you, that is the first and most important thing. So what I'm going to share with you is 6 strategies or 6 ways that you can increase your own confidence quickly. Now, let me tell you one other thing before I share with you the 6 strategies of the big C. And that is that the biggest objection, the one objection you can never overcome when you're working with buyers or sellers anytime, is an objection that you create in your own brain. So as I'm showing you these 6 strategies, understand that the real secret here is that confidence has to be in you, and that the objection of you're too young or you're too new you're too new cannot be inside of you. You see, if you're the one that creates the objection, you can never overcome an objection that you're creating. You become the obstacle rather than their lack of confidence or lack of certainty. And if you feel like it's an objection or an issue, then it's going to show up in your lack of confidence, in your lack of certainty. So you can work with anybody of any age, any price range, anywhere, even as a very young or very new agent, if you take these 6 strategies and put them into practice right now. And you may not use all of them, but if you use a combination of them, guaranteed they will help you get more business and overcome or completely remove this issue of I'm too new or I'm too young. So are you ready? Here we go. Number 1, the first strategy is energy. Now here's my favorite. Here's the best one. And that is, if you really want to up your game instantly, have more energy and enthusiasm than the average agent does. Because see, the average agent has very low enthusiasm, very low energy. What can I do to help you? I'm really excited about helping you guys get into a new home. And this is a very big decision for all of us and blah, blah, blah. And they have no energy. They have no enthusiasm. And you can separate yourself from the mass of agents just like that by turning on the energy, the enthusiasm, by smiling, by actually acting like you're excited about helping them buy a home or helping them sell a home. Because the bottom line is, if somebody's going to work with you, they want to believe that you're excited about helping them buy a new home, or that you're excited about actually helping them sell their home. And so your energy and enthusiasm is something that doesn't take training. You don't have to go to seminars. You don't have to get coached. You don't have to study for 4 years. It doesn't take any time. You can do that in an instant. Just turn it on. Turn on the energy, the enthusiasm, the smile, and be excited about what you're doing. It makes a huge difference. The second strategy is skills. Now, here's the thing about skills. In real estate, you can develop your skills fast, or you can develop them slow. And for example, how long does it take you to learn how to really do a strong, powerful listing presentation? Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. You can do it in a week, or you can do it in 25 years. And the reason I say that is because literally in 1 week, if you spent 3 or 4 or 6 hours a day for a week, actually memorizing and internalizing a listing presentation of how to present it, and then practice it over and over and over again and learn the communication skills, learn how to ask the right questions, learn the tonality, learn how to lead and how to listen. And you can do all of that literally in a week if you really focused and did it intensely. And yet at the same time, I know many, many agents who've been in the business 10 years, 15 years, 20, even 25 years, who still don't have a powerful listing presentation. And they'll tell you, I just wing it. I don't really have a strong listing presentation. What have they done? They've taken and over for year after year, they've done the exact same thing with no skill. They just kind of make it up as they go, and they get over time. They're fairly decent at it, at a high level or a low level, wherever they are. But the bottom line is, you can intentionally take your skill set very high, very fast, if you apply yourself and focus and practice and work at it and get coached and get supported and get trained. You can develop skills very, very quickly in how to get clients to work with you and how to help them get the results that they want, if you're willing to apply yourself. So increase your skills quickly, learn them fast, practice, role play, get coached. I'm happy to apply to be your coach for you. Just let me know what I can do to help. Those are the things that will help you immediately create more confidence with yourself, which will help other people, buyers and sellers, be more confident in you. So learning your skills fast, absolutely critical to it. Number 3 is learning the market. Now, again, it's one of those things you can do this fast or you can do it slow. And that is market knowledge, because here's the reality. More knowledge always gives you more confidence. Knowledge equals confidence. You've heard that people say that. Well, market knowledge is understanding what's happening in the real estate market. Now, there are 2 really key ways that you can do this as a real estate agent. Number 1 is preview properties, preview listings that are on the market right now. Whenever a new listing comes on the market, if you're out and you're seeing everything that's coming on the market, it does not take you long to become very, very familiar with what's happening in the real estate market. Let me just lay it out this way. What if you went out and previewed 5 properties a day that are actively on the market right now? If you went out and saw 5 houses a day and you just looked at them, and you did that 5 days a week, okay, that'll take you about an hour. You got 5 properties a day. One, you're going to run into people, you're going to get business, you're going to get leads just by being out on the streets. But the reality is when you go out and look at 5 properties a day and you do that 5 days a week, you've looked at 25 properties in a week, right? Now, if there's 4 weeks in a month and you do that 4 weeks of the month, 25 a week in 4 weeks, how many properties have you previewed in 1 month? You've looked at 100 houses on the market. Now, if you did that 3 months, 6 months, think about if you did that for 6 months, you've literally in 6 months looked at 600 houses on the market. Don't you think you'd have a pretty good idea of the market, of what's happening in the market, what's available, and you get a buyer call, you know what's out there. You may not know about any one specific listing necessarily, but you've got a great feel for it. So when you're on a listing presentation or you're talking to a potential seller, an expired listing, you may have already seen their house, or you at least are familiar with the area. Why? Because you're out there on the streets learning the market. Now, the second way you learn the market, increase your market knowledge, is by studying and paying attention to the statistics, to the market statistics. How many homes are on the market right now? How many homes are sold in the last 30 days? How many went under contract in the last 30 days? How many new listings came on the market in the last 30 days? What is the average days on the market? What is the average list price to sell price ratio? All of those things make a huge impact whenever you're talking to potential buyers and sellers and they're asking you about the market, and you know actual statistics of what the market is doing. It's a huge thing to pay attention to. If you'll study the market, and you can do this very, very quickly, in a matter of a month or two, you can really begin to get a good feel of what's happening in the real estate market. And again, as you learn the market, your confidence goes up, so their confidence in you goes up. And all of a sudden, how new you are in the business becomes less and less of a factor, just like that. Now, the fourth strategy is study success. Study other people who've absolutely been successful as very young or new agents. So we talk about study the young guns. Who are the top producers in your market or in the area or anywhere that have been very successful even at a very young age? In fact, Realtor Magazine, every year they do a study, they do a survey of what kind of the top 30 agents under the age of 30. They call it 30 under 30. And it's a great group of people to study because you can actually go in and read, who are they? How did they get their business? What is their strategy? What is their philosophy? And just kind of study other people who've done what you want to do. And as you do that, you're going to realize one very simple thing. They're not that much different than you are. Okay, they weren't born with a silver foot in their mouth. Some of them may have some ends. They may have had a parent or somebody else that brought them into the business that already had established business. And all of that may be the case, but it doesn't matter. What you're looking for is, if they can do it, I can do it. How did they overcome it? Because see, look, just think about it this way. If I'm a young guy and I'm 24 years old, I just got my license, or I'm 22 or I'm 21, and I'm coming in and my mom has been a top producer, a mega agent for years. Does that give me an advantage? Absolutely. But what's the advantage? Well, the advantage is I'm coming in with somebody that has a track record. Does it make me more experienced? No. Does it make me smarter? No. Does it give me more market knowledge or skills or energy? No. It just means I've got something on my side that gives me more confidence. That's the key. So whenever you study these young guys, learn what it is that makes them do what they do and the way they do it. And the bottom line is, the one common denominator is they all have somehow, some way, developed their own confidence. Maybe from somebody else they came into the business with, and maybe because they have a college degree, it may just be they're very confident, or it may be because they really quickly applied themselves, worked their rear end off, and they worked like nuts, and they got some success, and they built on their success. And what does success breed? More success. Why? Because success breeds confidence. And they just got out there and they hammered it until they got some success. Learn from others who've done what you want to do. In this case, learn from the young guns, what they're doing. Now, another thing is, do this. Partner with an old gun, okay? Find another top agent that you can partner with. And it's not a full-blown partnership, but just find an agent in your company or somebody you know, a real estate agent that's a top producer, well-known, well-respected, that you think, you know what, if I had them by my side or backing me up, I could do this. And talk to them about it and let them be your partner, not a full partnership, but just so that when you're talking to, for example, to a potential seller, to say, absolutely, I work with, how long have you been doing real estate? Well, this is my second year. This is my first year, but I actually work with a partner. My partner Bill Brown, he's been one of the top agents in the area. You probably know who he is, as a matter of fact, for 30 years or whatever it is. And you actually ride on their coattails, use them to back you up, and just talk to them, work out an agreement with them, work out a deal that when you have a potential buyer or seller, how will they help you with it? And can you create a partnership per deal that you do that? You're probably going to share the commission with them and all of that. But look, what a great way to get experience and learn from a successful agent and give you more credibility and confidence as you're out there talking to people. And you can use that if it's a strategy that helps you or not. Either way works, but it's another great strategy that will help increase your C factor, your confidence. And then the last strategy is understanding that new rules and understanding that the rules of real estate have changed. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. If I'm getting ready to do something and I need to hire a professional, do I want the person who's been doing it the longest or the person who does it the best? Well, it depends on what it is, but typically I want the person that does it the best. So think about this. If you were going to have open heart surgery, are you wanting the oldest surgeon? Are you wanting the surgeon that is most up to date with the new techniques, the new technology, and uses the latest surgical techniques and surgical instruments? Or are you want the one that did it back when they used to just use, a handkerchief soaked in ether and they stuck it on your mouth? I mean, it's a different world in medicine. It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago. You know what? It's a different world in real estate today than it was 5 years ago. How buyers buy, how sellers sell, where buyers and sellers get their information, how marketing is done is totally different than it was 15 years ago. When I started real estate, newspaper ads and classified ads was still one of the primary ways of marketing real estate. I got into business just, I think, 1 or 2 years after they had actually gone from the old printed MLS books to actually having the MLS, the multiple listing service, online. Well, you think things have changed a little bit? Absolutely. The old rules of real estate are not the same anymore. There's totally new set of rules. So when you're talking to a potential buyer or seller, actually use this and say, how long have you been doing this? Well, it's my second year. However, I'm very up to date with everything, all the strategies, all the techniques, and all the technology to help sellers like yourself get the best results, get the house sold in the best amount of time with the least amount of hassle and for top dollar. Because that's really what's important to you, right? Perfect. That's what I can do for you. And when it comes to understanding the new rules of real estate, you have an advantage when you're new as opposed to somebody who's been in and still does it all the same old strategies that worked back in the 1900s don't work anymore. It's a new world, and take advantage of that. Use your youth, use your newness in the business to say, I have learned, what I've done is I've learned all the new strategies, the new techniques, all the new marketing, I use technology, both to help find the right house for you or to help you sell your house. Whatever it is that the client needs, your expertise is more important than your experience. If you understand that and think that way. Again, remember, all this comes down to confidence, and it's you not becoming your own objection or your own obstacle by thinking, well, I'm young and that's going to be a drawback. No, it is your massive advantage that you are new, that you've got energy, that you are on the cutting edge, that you're out there in the game every day learning it, and you are absolutely driven and committed to helping your clients get the best results in the best amount of time with the least amount of hassle. That's how.
Yolanda, it's hard to believe that the 2000s were 20 years ago, huh?
Right. I know. And that's how you advertised in the newspaper,
Right?
before. Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that one? Any ahas?
And then that was super true. Like people, you hear like, oh, I've been in the business for 20 plus years. And like, we were reading this book, Talent is Overrated. And it's like, just years in the business does not equal excellence. If you're doing the same exact thing 20 years ago, good for you. But it's not, obviously doesn't mean that you're better. You've just been in the game longer.
Yep.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, Amy and I both know of an agent that we're working with together right now, and he, keeps saying, "Oh, I've been in the business for 30 plus years and this and this and that," but he's not the nicest person. So I agree with what you said, Claudia.
I liked it.
That only gets you so far. It's like, okay, buddy.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
like
right?
Yolanda's ad.
Say that again, Claudia?
Did you guys see Yolanda's ad that she put in the chat?
She put it in the chat box, the picture from the newspaper 20 years ago. They still do that. You can still list your properties in the newspaper. Nobody's going to look at them, but you can still do that. So I liked what he had to say, right, about energy, like having that energy and that confidence. Keep in mind though, that if you're talking with somebody about selling their property, they may not be excited about selling the property, right? Like you've got military service members that get PCS that they're like, well, we really like Travis and we like Solano County. We don't want to move, or people that have to move for other circumstances. So just be in tune to why they're selling and have your energy match that. You always want to be empathetic. And you still want to come across as confident. You just may not want to have excitement about selling their house if they're not excited necessarily about selling their house. So just kind of keep that in mind. On the market knowledge portion, I'm a big advocate of setting up your market watch on your Berries account on the MLS so that you can go in there and look every 24 hours, once a day, on the new listings that have come on the market and the price reductions. You should be going in there and looking at those in the areas that you frequently service, your primary areas, on a daily basis, so that you understand what's coming on the market, what new properties are out there, so that when you have a conversation with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, we were thinking about selling our home because we wanted to downsize, you can be like, oh my gosh, there was this super cute single story, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,600 square foot home that just came on the market today. It's got a gorgeous yard and it's move-in ready. It got all the updates. And they'll be like, oh, really? Right? So you want to know what's on the market. You want to know what listings are out there so that at a moment's notice, if you're talking with somebody, you can be like, oh yeah, there was a super cute one, or there was a property similar to yours just down the street that just sold. It went into contract and it was listed at this, right? So we want to have that market knowledge. So fully agree with that. I also agree with, combining that. You don't necessarily have to connect up with a young agent, but see who had success in their first couple of years in the business and go talk with them, reach out to them. What did you do? How did you gain success? Where did you, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do different? Or what do you feel like really worked for you, right? Have those conversations with people that were successful right off the bat. And then pairing with that top agent, what he said about that, right? You guys, most new agents in our office are paired with a mentor, and feel free to utilize your mentor, right? It's like he said, but you don't even necessarily have to have a separate agreement or anything. Just be like, oh yeah, absolutely. This is my first year in the business. I've been quite successful. I'm doing quite well. In addition, I have, my partner, Amy, and she's been in the business over 16 years and, doing quite successful as well. And we're working this together, right? So bring that in to your experience to back you up and to just give you more confidence. Ultimately, the goal is to give you more confidence so that they feel like you can handle the purchase or the sale of their home. Any other thoughts or questions on that?
Amy, how do you set up the market watch on Berries? Or did you say it was something you can set up, or is it just?
Yes, you can set it up. And in fact, if you want to stay on, whoever wants to see how to set that up, after we finish up here, I can hop over to Berries and show you how to set that up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I reposted the link for this website. So if you want to see the other ones that are on here as far as objections, if you want to see the scripts that they have underneath, or the videos that are posted, that link's in there so you can click on it. It's got some really good information. I like that they bring in kind of a variety of different people into this website specifically, and they handle the objections well. So any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up for today?
Is there a listing presentation that I can have a script for?
You and your listing presentation script. There is not one on here. I do have one. I'm upstairs today. I will get it over to you before I walk away from my desk.
Okay, I use the bold one. So if it's the bold one I have, do you do something different?
I have a couple different ones. So
Okay.
I'll send you a couple different to look at.
Sweet, thank you.
Also, the bold one that you may have may be the old one, so there may be a newer one. So I'll look and see on the newer materials.
Okay, sweet, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and then if you want to stay on, I'm going to hop over to Berries. And I'll show you how to set up that 24-hour market watch. Sometimes I don't like previewing attendance as well. Abby threw that in the chat box as well, so make sure you log your attendance. So with the market watch versus previewing properties in person, I think previewing properties in person is super important as well. That being said, I don't always like to inconvenience sellers in occupied properties if I don't actually have a buyer, or I think I might have a potential buyer for that property. So I don't always see them in person. But staying on top of the market watch is good. Also, if you are available on the weekends and you don't have an open house that you're hosting yourself or properties that you're showing, going around and walking through other open houses is a great way to capitalize on the fact that the doors are already open and you don't have to make an appointment for it, as well as it gives you an opportunity to connect with the other agent that's hosting the open house and to build that relationship and rapport with that other agent. Because oftentimes when we submit offers on property, getting our offer accepted or getting all the information about the other offers that have already been submitted on that property comes down to how good your relationship is with that other agent and how willing they are to work with you. So you want to build that rapport and relationship. So I highly recommend going through other people's open houses, introducing yourself to the other agent, doing a quick preview of the property so you know what's on the market, and just really working on building that relationship. All right, so we're going into Barry's. Here on our homepage, this is the market watch. So it used to be a 24-hour market watch. Now you can kind of change it. So if it's been a couple days since you logged in here and looked at it, you can go back a few days to see over the, you know, if it's like Monday and you didn't check it on Saturday and Sunday, you could go back and look for the last 3 days to see what came on the market. If yours, let's see. Well, let's go. So, right, you can change the dates back, and then you can have what's on here, like new listings, back on market, price increases, right? And the way that it sets this up, if yours looks different, this is why it might look like a chart. I don't like the chart. So down here at the bottom, you can toggle between chart and list. I like the list. Personal preference. You can do whatever you want. And then you can have multiple market watches. You used to only be able to have one market watch set up, and it is what it, you know, whatever it was is what it was. You couldn't change it except for the areas that popped up. Now you can save different ones. So this could be a good idea to set up the market watch for, like, if you have buyers looking for properties, it's a really good way to go back in there, click on it, and see, is there anything that came on the market that matched that buyer's potential needs that would be a good match for them. Good way to do this. We can go in here and hit manage at the bottom or add save search. So if we hit manage, it pulls you in where you can change your market watches. You can delete them. You can revise it or run it, right? So, and this is where it shows up in your market watch. So these are your saved searches. And whether your market watch is on or off. So if I were to turn, this is 24-hour Vacaville. If I were to turn this off, when I go back to my home dashboard, under market watch, it would eventually take it out of this queue here, but it may take a minute. I don't know if I saved the changes. So, but there you go. So to update this, if you want to change the areas in which you can go add save search. This is going to pull up any of your saved searches that you have. To do that, so to get there, we just go into search, pick any kind of search that you want, right? Usually for these, I do like a standard search. I want residential properties. I want coming soon and active, right? And then you're going to select your area. So if you service all of Solano County, you might select that. I like specific cities. So I usually keep my market watch like Vacaville, Dixon, and maybe Winters. That's where I do most of my business. So that's the areas that I'm really interested in. If I had branched into Davis or did a lot of properties down in Fairfield or Sassoon, you may want to add those, or you can always do them separate as well as individual searches. I'm not super worried about anything else that's on this search outside of just these cities, and I care about the coming soon and active properties in those areas. And then what you want to do is you want to come up here to the save button and hit save. Okay. This is where we can save that search, new market watch, right? You're gonna name it. And then we want to toggle this button here, the market watch, to on. That's gonna give it to us in our queue over there. And then we're gonna hit save. Okay, now the search has been saved. So now if you go into searches and saved searches, here's my saved searches, everything that's up there, you can edit them that way. Or if we go to our home dashboard, now here we go. So now we've got new market watch is right here. If I want it to be one of my favorites, I can put the star, and then that's what's gonna default to pop up here when I log into Berries. Okay, did everybody follow that, how I set up that saved search?
Yes.
Yes, fabulous. So now I know that I can go in my new market watch. If I checked it yesterday, I just need to go one day back. I can click in here and go new listings. This is going to show me all the new listings in Vacaville, Dixon, and Winters. And then I can click on them and just pick one. And no photo available because it's coming soon. But now I know 5148 Poplar Road on 4.6 acres is getting ready to come on the market. And it's only listed at 600,000. So if I had a person looking for country property that's been looking for a while, you better bet I'm going to be on the phone with them going, hey, it's a smaller home. It's only 1,200 square feet, but it's listed at 600,000. Like, you want to see if we can get in to see this property, or you want to go drive by it, right? So you can get in there, kind of know, oftentimes if they have photos, if it's a new listing, I might scroll through the photos so that I kind of know what the status of the house is. And then I'd be like, oh, I recognize this floor plan. Right. You can scroll through it. It's 1,900 square feet. It's got a nice patio cover. The home's nicely updated on the inside, low maintenance landscaping in the backyard. And then I have to think about if I've got any buyers ready for that. Otherwise, I just kind of commit this one to memory that in Dixon, we've got this cool property that just came on the market. And you've got Baylor, right? So I'm just going to keep scrolling through those each day. So each day, my goal would be I would look at the new homes on market. And I'm also going to look at the price reduction. So I like the new listings. I like to see what's come back on the market, right? What's something that we missed out on that might satisfy one of my buyers' needs that's back on the market, and what's had price reductions. I don't truly care about price increases. I don't necessarily care about contingents, pendings, closed, expireds, or inactives. I really just care about, we'll come back to this here in a second. But price reductions. So I look at new listings, back on market, and price reductions on a daily basis. So I know what the market has. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Now, I made a mistake when I set up this search. So I can go in there and hit the little, it's new market watch. I can hit the little pencil to edit it. It's going to take me back into that search criteria. And it's only showing me what I selected. So remember, I said residential, and I said I only care about coming soon and active. I don't care about the pending and closed. I do kind of care about the closed. So I'm going to throw those in there. It's going back to December, which is fine. I'm only going to look back a day or two. I also want sold off MLS. But if I wanted all of the numbers to show, you just check all those boxes. Okay, and I'll show you what the difference is now. We're going to hit save. We're going to leave it there, same information, and just hit save. So it updates that search. It's going to override the existing search. Yes, I want it to override. Now, if I go back to my home dashboard, remember here on this market watch, it just had these first 4 new listings, back on market, price increases, and price reductions. Now it's showing contingent, pending, closed, expired, and inactive. So now if I wanted to know what had closed in the last 24 hours, I can look at that to see the closed sales or what went pending. So now I have that information as well. Okay. Questions about that? You can set up as many of these as you want. So if I went back into searches and standard, and then let's say that I had Claudia was my buyer, and Claudia was looking for a single family residence, and she wanted a single story, so through 1. And she did not want a senior community, and her price range was 750,000. And she's looking in Vacaville. I can set this search up here and hit save. And I can call it Claudia's home search. And then turn the market watch on and hit save. Now this makes it really easy from my home dashboard. I can come right in here. I can come here and go Claudia's home search. And I can be like, oh, there's a new listing that matches. I wonder what that was, right? And I know exactly in the last 24 hours what new listings have come on that match her criteria.
So instead of going to clients and pulling her up as a client, that's a shortcut right there through the market watch.
It's
Gotcha.
a shortcut. Yep. And I can go in there. So if I go, I should be able to, well, I don't know. Okay, I should be able to. So if I go into clients, right? If I've got clients already set up in here on property searches. And nope. Hold on. It's where there's a, well, let's go to this one. I don't think this one's turned off yet. Could be, but let's say I go in here, I've got their search set up. I can come in here and hit revise criteria on an existing search. I can save this search now, right? Search name, Dream Homestead. So I might want to call it like Duke Dream. Oh, Duck. That was good. D-U-K. Duke Dream Homestead, and then turn on the market watch and hit save. And now from my homepage, right? So the search was already set up, ready to go. I just hit the edit button and now I've saved it and turned on the market watch. Now I can come down here and pull that information as well. Okay, so that's how you can add them quickly if you've already got searches set up in there, how you can add them to this. We just go into edit it, save it, and turn on the market watch.
Amy, I have a question.
Yes.
For the statuses for closed, what date did you pick when you were like just making one? Are you picking June or?
Mine automatically went back to like December of 22. So
Okay.
it was probably today's date. Like it was probably 12/28/22. But because I'm looking only at the days back, it's only going to pull the closed listings for the last 24 hours.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it truly doesn't matter what the furthest date back is you choose. Because when I'm looking here on the market watch, it's only going to pull the data for the days that I select, and it only goes up to a week.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? No,
So,
everybody's
Amy,
good? Yes.
Yeah, on another note, so you know the jot form thing that you showed? I used
Yes.
that for the open houses this week and it was game changer. So good.
Yay.
I highly recommend that. If you, I think you did a class on it, no? Or no?
I did. So there's a
Yeah.
recording that shows you how to set up your either jot forms or the Google forms
Mhm.
in there. And yeah, so super cool.
Highly recommend it.
Very good. It's easier to read people's handwriting when it's typed in.
Totally. You have everything.
Perfect. Any other questions or anything before we wrap up today?
Is that the one that you have them sign in straight to your like laptop or iPad?
So the way that I
you're
did it,
talking about?
I actually did a QR code and I said, do you mind scanning that to sign in? Just for liability reasons or whatever. If they give me any kind of whatever, I'll just like, then I say, oh, for liability reasons. But I'll text it to you right now, or I can put it in the chat. It's a QR code, and basically it's just 5 quick questions: name, phone number, email, how'd you hear about the open house, and like, are you? And then the last one, I'll send it to you guys right now.
Thank you.
I really like the QR code idea, Claudia. That's fabulous. Because then you're not having to use your electronics to have everybody touch. they can scan it with their phone and easily like plug it in there and register. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah. I
And
don't
how
like
does
people-
that drop it into, like, does that drop it into like what database?
So it is not
how is
linked
it
with
saved?
Town. It is not. So basically it's in my Jotform account. So then I just export it as a CSV and then I can upload it.
A what form? Dot or jot?
Jot, J-O-T, Jot form.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question for you guys that are still on here. Like, what CRM do you guys use a lot? Like, are you guys all on Boomtown, or if anyone wants to answer?
Anybody? Is anybody using a CRM? Raise your hands.
Yes.
Kind of
Kind
use-
of.
working on it.
Claudia, what are you using?
So I like Boomtown. Boomtown works for the company leads,
Uh-huh.
but I really like Follow Up Boss still. I'm having a really hard time letting it go.
Okay. So you
So
pay
just-
for one outside for Follow Up Boss.
Yes.
Cool. Follow Up Boss is a good CRM. Marcia, what are you using?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I had switched from, KW to then I forget which other one, and then the realty one, I started attempting to use that one, and then Boomtown came out, and I'm just so lost. I don't know which one to, try out.
All right.
I don't like how Boomtown looks, but
Oh, see, I kind of like the layout for Boomtown. I find it much more user friendly than the OneSuite.
Yeah. And then I checked
and
out.
Claudia also, I was telling Claudia also, maybe because I don't have so
Brittany, I think you cut out a little bit.
I for somebody else.
Moss, you cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was saying that when I looked at Boomtown, I only had like one contact on there, and so looking at it on my phone versus like the laptop, it had a lot of clients in there. It looked a lot more user friendly, and it looked better than if you're looking at it through your phone.
Through your phone. Yeah. So, Brittany, to answer your question, there's no wrong answer. Until you have a few transactions closed, I would go with one of the free options. So either with Boomtown or OneSuite, just because free is better. And then you can always transition to something else and look at what the other options are out there. Boomtown also has an upgrade option. So if you're not on the Zillow team, you kind of have the basic access to Boomtown. So you could always upgrade it later. But I do like the layout and the usability, the functionality of Boomtown. It's just a little bit more intuitive than the OneSuite is, but neither one's a bad answer. Even if you're like, I use a spreadsheet, like a spreadsheet's not a bad answer. Just use something. Don't keep them on pieces of paper floating around your office that you lose track of. Have something that reminds you who you're supposed to be calling each day or each week. And what you've got going on, and that you can put notes in so you can track what the conversation was the last time you talked to them. Just have something that you can track and that hopefully will help you to automate your business so you know who you're supposed to be calling as time rolls by.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maciel thinks that Claudia's form is hot.
Very hot.
Any other questions or anything before we wrap up? Fabulous. I hope you all found this useful today. I hope you got some good information. As always, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out at any time. Have a fabulous day. Enjoy the
Okay,
cooler weather
thank you.
before you hit triple digits tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.